Are you paralyzed by overthinking? And how is it that we escape the relentless trap in our mind of looking back at maybe some event that's happened, some conversation that we've had, and evaluating and thinking about it and overthinking about it and analyzing it, or thinking about the future? Maybe there's some decision that you make and again, relentlessly overthinking and evaluating and second guessing yourself and doubting the situation and what you should do. I tell you, it's a trap for us to go over these things in our minds. We do need to think about, we need to evaluate the past, maybe to look at the way that we've handled something and learn from it. And we do need to think about the future. We need to evaluate the decisions that we're going to make, but there's a subtle trap that we can fall in where we begin to overthink it, that we spend too much time on it. We go over it in our mind, and it becomes a trap that will paralyze us, it will make us indecisive and ineffective in our lives. Someone once said, overthinking is the art of creating problems that weren't even there, and that is true. We create in our mind all these problems. We look at the worst case scenario from something that's happened in the past. As we're looking at a decision in the future, we overthink it, and we are creating issues even before we have to face them, most of the time, issues that never materialize. And it robs us of the joy of the present because we're so captivated in our mind. So I want to suggest to you a path away from overthinking. The first way that we move past overthinking is to recognize that most of the decisions that we make are small decisions. They're inconsequential. Whether we choose A or B, the result of it is not going to be life or death. We may have some minor inconvenience, and it's important for us when we're looking at a decision or we're looking at the past to decide, is this really that significant? Was the way that I handled that situation, life or death, that significant? Is what I'm looking at in the future so significant that I need to overthink it? Or should I just pull the trigger and make a decision and move on? The second avenue of dealing with overthinking is to realize that you are not perfect and I am not perfect. We are going to make not the best decisions all the time. We are going to lack information at times. We're going to look back at the past, and rather than overthinking, we need to say to ourselves, I'm not perfect. I didn't handle that in quite the right way. I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to move on. Either way, we have to give ourselves grace that hopefully we give to other people to realize that we're not going to be perfect. We're not going to make the perfect decisions in the future. And so we do the best with what we have, imperfect as we are, and we accept it and move on. Now, having said that we're going to be imperfect, we do need to evaluate the past. We may need to get input from people so that we learn from our mistakes. We don't live in them, but we learn from it. If you're looking at a decision in the future that's more of a significant issue, then you need to get wise counselors. The Bible says that there's wisdom in many counselors. So as you think about the issue, to get input, perspective from other people to make a good decision. Again, that's not overthinking, that's just being wise in processing the information so that you make the best decision. And once you get that input, either you see it's not that big of a deal, I'm just going to make a decision, or if it's a more significant decision and you get input, then you have to make a decision. You've got to pull the trigger, and you need to be in the habit of jumping in with both feet. I remember when I was a kid, we lived near this pool and there was this high dive. It felt like it was 2 miles high, and I remember going up to the top of it and standing there unable to jump in because it looked so far and so scary. Sometimes decisions feel that way, and we tend to overthink them rather than jumping off the platform. You need to be in a place where you begin to practice jumping off that platform, and rather than overthinking, making a decision and working with it. And I would encourage you to start to make decisions, big ones and small ones. Don't look to other people to make the decision about where you're going to go out to eat or what you're going to do this evening or what your plans are for your next vacation. You make the decision. You make a commitment. That's going to exercise that decision muscle that will keep you from overthinking issues. The next step, as I said, is to realize that any decision probably that you make is not going to kill you. It's not going to be devastating. Most of the decisions in our life, when we resort to overthinking, we create it to be this great big decision with all these consequences. And frankly, most of the time that doesn't happen. Most of the time we make a decision and we move on. I work in a job where I have to make decisions all day. I don't always make the right decisions, but I've learned to make a commitment, to get the information, to make a decision, And I realized later on that it wasn't the end of the world, that it wasn't that big of a deal. And so it's important to remember that your decision, whatever it is not the end of the world. And the last thing that I suggest to you in getting past overthinking is to control your thinking. Rather than running off and overthinking and rethinking things over and over, you need to make decisions, and then you need to shift your attention on to things that you're thankful for. We need to fill our minds with what we're thankful for, not second guessing the things that we've done in the past or overanalyzing decisions that we need to make. We need to get the information, we need to make a decision, and then we need to shift our attention onto those things that we're thankful for. That's what's going to bring us joy. That's what's going to encourage us and give us a greater quality of life. Well, I hope this has been an encouragement to you. I would encourage you to leave your comments below about overthinking, your thoughts on overthinking. Would you also subscribe to this channel so that you'll get a notification of new videos? And would you share this video with maybe somebody who struggles with overthinking to encourage them? Thanks, and we'll see you next time.